This conference will now be recorded.
I wish you happy to each one of you. I wish this Holi brings lot of happiness to you and your family. I will get started. Sorry for the late today. I was discussing Dakar Swam for morning batch, 6 o'clock batch, and I had to extend 10-15 minutes more just to finish some topic. So that's why I took some time over there. Because of that, this class is started little late today. We'll continue. So far we discussed about what is compute, what is storage, in the respective of storage, what is EBS, what is EFS, what is S3. So someone was facing issues yesterday, like they were IP address S3 bucket policies. I see that. So when they are typing what is my IP address, they are seeing instead of IPv4, their laptop is having IPv6, but still you will have IPv4 also. Open this link like this. It will display IPv4 as well as IPv6 both. So take that IPv4, 4-digit IP address instead of 6-digit IP address. Maybe I'm not sure. I didn't remember who was facing that issue. So take this IPv4 and use that in your policy. It will work for the guy who is facing issue with S3. And one more guy was asking, sir, if I want to use EBS for Sonar Cube also, what needs to be done? First, you need to understand what is Sonar Cube, where exactly Sonar Cube is maintaining all your data. You need to identify that folder, in which folder Sonar Cube is maintaining the data, in which directory. I'm not saying in which directory you are installing Sonar Cube. Sonar Cube can be installed in any directory, but Sonar Cube will maintain data in some directory. Sonar Cube is internally using, I think, some database, if I'm not wrong. What is the database internally it is using? By default, it is using some database to store the data, H2 database. That can be changed with the other database also. That can be changed with other database also. If your Sonar Cube is pointing to that database and you are maintaining the data in database, if you again connect to that database, will be able to see whatever source code scannings it has done previously, even though you connect to different database from different Sonar Cube server also you can see. So you need to understand how that software is working, then only you can attach the respective storages. Every software will work on its own way, right? So Sonar Cube is connecting to database, Sonar Cube is connecting to database and maintaining that reports. If you mount whatever database directory it is maintaining the data with EBS, if you migrate that EBS and again if you point to the same database, will be able to see all those reports whatever has been done in the previous Sonar Cube server. If you point to that database, yes. Based on the use case, it will work, but the concept remains same. Okay. Now let's continue with next concept, networking. Guys, before compute, before storage, do we need a networking first? So what is networking? What is networking? Using networking, what we can do? Networking is basically a connectivity. So connectivity. Any server, any server you want to access, do you need to have a connectivity? Do you need to have a network? Suppose from one system or one device, you want to access another system, another device. Do they need a connectivity between those two devices? You need a connectivity, network connectivity between those two devices. So if networking, using networking, we can connect group of servers, group of servers or devices, that can be any device. Using networking, we can connect group of devices or servers with each other, if the servers or devices, whatever it can, I can call it, if the servers or devices are in same network, will they able to communicate with each other? They are in same network, each server can communicate with other server or device. So there are different types of networks. What are the widely, like we have LAN, WAN. What is this LAN? Local area network. Local area network. So this WAN, what is WAN? Wide area network. What is local area network? What is wide area network? Local area network, I can call it as a intranet, intranet, local area network. So can I create a network between some servers within my home or within my company, in small building or in small location? Can I create my own network within my home also, within my office? Can I connect all my servers within my office with each other using local network? Yes. Local network. Can I use network devices like switches, routers, cables to connect all those things? Networking devices, networking hardware, using networking hardware like cables, network cables, switches, network switches, routers, etc. This firewalls also kind of what? Networking device only. That firewalls also networking hardware only. Like using all these things, I can create a network. That can be local network, LAN. So if I have a local network, each server in my home or each server in my office is connected with each other using local network, do they need a internet to reach those one server in that network to access another server in that network? Do they need an internet connection? Do they need a public IP in intranet? Not required. So within office only you can access that server. From one server you can access other server because they are in a same network, local network, intranet. They are connected with each other. But from internet, from outside of that network, I mean to say different network. From different network, will I able to reach that servers without internet, without public IP? No. So WAN, what is WAN? Wide area network, kind of a internet, kind of a internet. Guys, just to make it simple, each computer can communicate with another computer if there is a network. Otherwise, they cannot communicate. Just to give an example, you are accessing flipkart.com. You are accessing flipkart.com. Is this application hosted somewhere in some server or group of servers? Somewhere in the world. Is this application hosted somewhere in the world? Maybe I don't know where exactly it is running. But am I able to reach that server? Am I able to access that application from my laptop or from my mobile, this application? Yes. So basically, we are not using IP. We are not using IP because as a human, will you guys able to remember IP here? Suppose Flipkart is saying access my application like this, the way we are accessing. If the Flipkart asks you to access like this, will you guys able to remember that IP address? If this is the Flipkart IP address? No. So that's why we are going to use another concept called the DNS, domain name. DNS, domain name. So, but in the background, is this domain is mapped with some IP? Is it resolving the IP first? It is resolving to the IP and request is going to that IP. Suppose there is no connection between, there is no connectivity between my laptop and the IP which is resolved to this domain. Will I able to access Flipkart application from my laptop? No. There should be a connectivity. Each and every computer, if you want to access that something which is running on that computer or that server, we need to have a network. Now there are like local area network, wide area network, right? Just to make it simple, guys, everyone nowadays in the home, everyone are using smart appliances. Smart appliances in the sense of smart TV, smartphones, right? Smart appliances like smart TV, smartphones. If you see, using smartphone, are you able to control your TV? Like you can change the channel, you can, switch on, switch off your TV. So how that is happening? Is there a network between your smartphone, and is there a network between your smartphone and your TV? Without network, without connectivity, are you able to operate? Are you able to control or access your TV from your phone? No, you'll not able to do that. But how that is happening? Let me tell you. Let's consider this is your home. Let's consider this is your home. Now you have a smart TV. This is your TV, right? You are relaxing on the sofa here with your smartphone in your hand. Now you are operating your TV from your phone. But how that is happening? Because there is a network. Because there is a network. Just to make it simple, how that is happening? Because are you guys having some internet? I mean to say router, internet. The moment you take a connection, internet connection, what they are fixing in your home, guys? What they are fixing in your home? They are fixing a router, network router, network router. Now that network router is connected with some cable. That network router is connected with some cable. So this is what? Internet. Internet. Internet connection is provided with your router. Now your smart TV, without connecting your smart TV with Wi-Fi or physical cable, router is different, Wi-Fi is different, guys. Router is different, Wi-Fi is different. Nowadays router comes with Wi-Fi inbuilt. Router is different, Wi-Fi is different. Why we are using Wi-Fi? Wireless network, wireless connection. I don't want to connect these devices, my laptop, my mobile, with physical cables. I don't want to tie network cables. So that's why there is a Wi-Fi. Without Wi-Fi, let's say I have only router. Do I need to connect my router with cables, with my TVs, my system, my phones? But nowadays, don't no one do that, right? Physical cables has to be used. If you are old generation kid, if you are old generation kid like 2095, 2005, 2006, that time, you might have observed in your home You have a router, there is no Wi-Fi. From router, you connected one network cable with your desktop. I don't want to do that nowadays. That's why we have a Wi-Fi, wireless communication. Now, nowadays, router is coming with Wi-Fi. Now, let's say your TV is not connected to this router, wireless communication. Your TV is not connected to this router. Will you be able to operate your TV from your mobile? No. So you are connecting to this TV also connected to the router. At the same time, your mobile also wirelessly connected with this router. This TV also wirelessly connected with this router. This mobile also wirelessly connected with this router. If you see, your TV also get IP address. Your TV also will have IP address. Your mobile also will have IP address. Not only computer, any device. Suppose you have a printer in your home, wireless printer. Nowadays, everyone is taking printers, right? Your printer also, wireless printers are there. Does your printer also will have a IP address? Yes. Your printer also will have a IP address. Now, nowadays, wirelessly you are printing. Are you guys able to communicate with this printer from your phone also? Ask that printer to print some page, right? So that is happening because there is a network. Your printer is connected with router, your TV is connected with router, your phone is connected with your router, wireless. But if there is no wireless Wi-Fi, do I need to physically connect this device to router, this device to router, this device to router? Not direct connection, not a direct connection. This one also connects with router, this one also connects with router, this one also connects with router. Now, source to destination. If I want to communicate with TV, does request will directly go to the TV? No. First request goes to the router, source IP. This is source IP. The destination IP is TV. Does this router will forward the request to that destination IP to which you want to communicate? IP addressing, TCP and IP model, networking. So request goes to router, router will communicate with the TV if you want to operate. Now, if you want to operate printer from your phone, request goes to router, router will do the print, communicate with printer. Now, this is because of networking it is happening. If you observe, just to make it simple, your TV is connected with your Wi-Fi, but your mobile is connected with your mobile network, mobile data, not Wi-Fi network, not Wi-Fi data. Your mobile is connected with your mobile data, but your TV is connected with Wi-Fi. Are you guys able to control TV during that time? Think. You guys have already used all these things, but you are not aware about how it is happening, why it is not happening. You are sitting in your home only, but your mobile is connected with mobile data, not with this Wi-Fi. Are you guys able to control this TV? No. Why that is not possible? Because this mobile is in different network now. Your TV is in different network. So whatever I have in my home, can I call this as a local network? Local network. If all these devices are connected with this router, this one, then only I can operate. This is kind of a local network. Now, if this mobile or if this TV, if this printer want to access any application in the internet, suppose YouTube, just to give an example, YouTube or Facebook, Flipkart, whatever it is. Now, how this is happening from your network, your laptop, you are trying to access YouTube, or your mobile, you are trying to access YouTube. First request goes to which one? The moment you type the URL in your TV you have an application. Laptop you can type the URL. Does request directly goes to this one? Request goes to router. But this will not have a public IP. So it will try to reach something like this, www.youtube.com. Request goes to router. Does router will identify what is the IP address of this domain by communicating with the DNS servers, whatever is configured DNS servers in this router? There is DNS IP is also configured. So does first will it communicate with the DNS servers to identify the IP of this domain? Then does the router will forward the request to that IP? That is internet communication, public communication. That is public communication. We are not working on networking, but I am just to give an overview here. Now, your router, your TV is getting internet connection with the help of what? With the help of what? Your TV is getting internet connection with the help of what? You have a router. That router is connected with internet connection. That router is connected with internet connection. So is it able to access some server in the internet? This server can be running in any different network, but this server has a public IP. This server has a public IP. So is my TV is able to reach that application, that server where my application is hosted using that public IP in the internet? Yes. So this router is doing kind of a access point. Now, just to make it simple, one more problem, one more use case. Now you are able to operate your TV from your network. Suppose there is one more neighbor. One more neighbor is there. He is sitting in his home. Using his phone, will he able to operate your TV, your printer? Using his phone, will he able to operate your TV, your phone, whatever it is? If that is going to happen, it is like a mess up, right? Complete mess up. Because you are watching some cricket from neighbor is controlling your TV, he is changing the channel, or he is switching off your laptop. It is like a complete mess up, right? Big fight. So why that is not happening? Because this guy devices are in a different network. This guy devices are in a different network. These guys devices are in a different network. Unless until suppose you are very close with your neighbor, let's say you have shared your Wi-Fi details, password. Suppose he connected, even though he is sitting in next to your home, he connected to your Wi-Fi, then will he able to switch on, switch off your TV from by sitting in his home also? If you share these details, that guy wirelessly connected. That guy wirelessly connected to this one, then will he able to operate? Because does this guy device also part of same network now? Where your devices are there, you share the details, wirelessly connected because of Wi-Fi, then he can operate. But this guy is not connected with your devices, your network, then will the guy is able to, does this guy is able to access your TV, your printer like that? No. So this is different network, this is different network. Suppose this guy want to access something in this network, do I need to have a public IP for this device? If I have a public IP, then only this guy can reach my TV. With private IP, will he able to reach my TV? With private IP, will he able to reach my printer? If this server has only, this device has only private IP, if this device has only private IP, does this guy will be able to reach my TV, my printer? No. But if this device, and this device in same network, Does this device can communicate with this one? Does this device can communicate with this one using private IPs? Because same network. But a different network, do I need a public IP to reach any device like a server, like a TV, like a printer? Yes. But in your home, does TV will be allocated with the public IP? Does printer will be allocated with public IP? No. The router will not assign any public IP to these TVs and printers. This TV, this printer, this phone also will not have a public IP. So who will have a public IP? Basically, the router has a public IP. The router has a public IP. So when you are trying to access something from this one, first request goes to router. Router has a public IP and router has an internet connection. So does this router can communicate with internet, any server, any application, and get the response and send it back to this source wherever it is accessing? That is how the network is happening in the background. Why I am discussing all these things? We are not working on networking like you need no need to know what is router, what is switch, what is firewall, but still it will be easy to understand whatever we are discussing here. Just to make it simple, I hosted my database here. I have some application server in this network. I hosted my database here. I have my application in this network. Will I able to reach this database from this server, which is in a different network? If this database server doesn't have a public IP, if this database server doesn't have a public IP from this server, will I able to reach this database server? Let's say no. Using private IP, will I able to reach from this server, which is in a different network? Will I able to reach my database server from this application server using private IP? No. But the same server is part of this network. Same server is part of this network. Using private IP itself, let's say this is my application server. Using private IP itself, can I reach this database server? Because of same network. Now, outside, outside, some end users are accessing my application. End users are accessing my application. Without having the public IP, does end users can reach my application? End users are from different networks, right? From internet they are. So if I don't have internet connectivity with this server, my application server, without having a public IP for this server, does my end users, I mean to say the users who is outside of this network, will they able to access this one without public IP, without internet? Outside? No. First of all, is everyone clear what is internet, what is network, what is the importance of network, how it works? LAN, local area network. WAN, wide area network. Wide area network is internet. Internet. So this network can be spreaded into multiple locations. Multiple locations. Multiple locations. Okay. Now, when it comes to servers, whenever I am creating any server, do I need to have a network first? Do I need to create that server in some network? Yes. So we need a network first. So you may have a question, sir, I have not created any network in AWS. How come the servers are getting created? In which network the servers are getting created? Even though we have not created any network on our own, do we have some default network created for us whenever we have our account created? Yes. So that is default VPC. With respect to AWS, what is VPC? What is the full form of VPC? VPC full form is Virtual Private Cloud. Virtual Private Cloud. So it's a network. It's a private network in which you can create your servers and you can control who can access and who cannot access those servers. Who can access, who cannot access those servers, we can control. It's a private network. AWS is a public cloud. AWS is a public cloud. Does anyone can create a servers? Does anyone can create a servers in public cloud? Yes. Even you have AWS account, I have AWS account, you created some servers, I created some servers. But if you observe how they are isolating, basically there is a network. So this is my AWS, let's say this is AWS cloud, AWS data center. Now this is one network, one VPC. Now similarly you will have your own VPC. You will have your own VPC. This VPC is nothing but a kind of a network. This VPC is nothing but a network. This VPC is nothing but a network. So even though you have not created any network, do you have a default network in which you guys are creating servers so far? So this is one server, this is another server, this is another server in this network. Now I have another VPC, maybe in same account or different account. I have another VPC, maybe I own another network, or maybe this network is in some other account. The servers in this VPC, will they able to communicate with servers in this VPC? Consider there is no internet, there is no public IP. Consider there is no internet, there is no public IP. Using private IP, does this server can communicate with this server? With private IP? No. But does these servers can communicate with this server without without public IP, without internet also? Does this server can access this server without internet, without public IP? Yes, because all these are in a same VPC. VPC is nothing but what? Network. All these are in a same network. This guy can communicate with this guy. But if this guy has to access this guy, do I need to have a internet connectivity in this server? And also, do I need to have a public IP for this server if I want access from here? Otherwise, you can't access. Just to make it simple, nowadays, like from day one, you are using EC2. SSH is also running on one port. SSH is one service. And which port that service is running? 22. Now, your laptop or your desktop, is it in a same network where your EC2 is there? Is your laptop is also part of same network where your EC2 is there? Think twice. Is it in a same network? No. But how I am able to access or how I am able to SSH? Because whenever you are SSHing, are you using public IP of that server? Are you using public IP of that server? Whenever you are SSH, your SSH command also, you are doing something like this, username @IP. What is that IP you are using to SSH? Public IP. And does this server has an internet connection? Because the default VPC, whatever default VPC, as I already told, default VPC has subnets. All the subnets are public subnets, which means all the subnets has a internet connection. So does that server has internet connection as well as public IP? Yes. So that's why, are you guys able to access? SSH is also one kind of a service which you are able to access using that IP on that port. Firewall comes later. Firewall comes later. Firewall is basically, it's kind of a gatekeeper. It's kind of a gatekeeper, whether it will allow or deny. First of all, if this server doesn't have a internet, if this server doesn't have a public IP, is your laptop will be able to reach that server using private IP? Will it able to, does your router, your laptop is connected with some router, does the router will be able to route that traffic to that server if you are using private IP? No. You are able to access because this server has a public IP. That is default VPC. But are we going to deploy our applications in a default VPC, our databases, our applications in a default VPC, in actual applications, actual projects? Once you get into a project, are you going to use default VPC? In default VPC, are you going to create your servers, your databases? Anything? No. Why? By default, the default VPC has a subnets. VPC is a network. VPC is a network. VPC is nothing but a network. VPC has a subnet. What is the meaning of subnet? The name itself is saying subnet. VPC is networking. Within that VPC, can I create a subnetwork? Subnetwork, small network within that VPC. If you see, as of now, I already have one VPC. I already have one VPC. If you see, I already have one VPC in my AWS account. That is what VPC? Default VPC. When I go to VPC, there is a service called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. As of now, I created this one for a different purpose. Let me see if I can delete. As of now, I have two VPCs, two networks. I created this one for a different purpose. Let me delete. If I can delete, there are some network interfaces attached. I cannot delete. Let me make it clean so that this is attached to some. Okay. Okay, if I cannot do this, let's see. Okay, that is fine. Let's leave it. But when you go to your VPC, when you go to your VPC, how many VPCs you can see by default? Now, only one. That is this VPC. That is this VPC. This default VPC. And that VPC will have subnets. That VPC will have subnets. If I go to subnet section for that VPC, this VPC. So how many subnets you will have for that VPC, the default VPC? Subnets. For that default VPC, how many subnets you have as of now? 3 subnet. Subnet is nothing but what? Subnet is nothing but a network, small network, subnetwork. As of now, the default VPC has 3 subnets. They have subnets in each availability zone. In each availability zone, they have a subnet. Now we have a VPC like this. In that VPC, do they have again small networks? We call it as a subnet. In that network, we have a again small networks. We call it as a subnets. This I can call it as a subnet. Is subnet and availability zone both are same? Someone is asking. Is subnet and availability both are same? No, both are two different things. Subnet is a network, availability zone is a data center. Availability zone is nothing but a data center. So when I am creating a subnet, VPC is a regional level service, which means can I create a network at a regional level like Mumbai region, Singapore region, US region? VPC is a regional level service. Within that VPC, I will create a subnets. While creating a subnet, can I create subnet in any availability zone? Can I create a subnet in 1A, 1B, 1C like that? This subnet can be created in any availability zone. Is it possible for me to create a subnet between multiple availability zones? I mean to say, can I spread this subnetwork between multiple availability zones in that region? Can I spread this network, subnetwork, into multiple availability zones? No. So subnet will reside in only one availability zone. They have 3 subnets. If required, can I create 6 subnets, 10 subnets as per my requirement? Yes. You can create n number of subnets in n number of any number of availability zone, which means let's say I have 1A availability zone, 1B availability zone, 1C availability zone. In 1A, can I create 4 subnets if required, or 10 subnets if required in 1A? Subnet works. Yes. In 1B, if I required, can I create only one subnet or 2 subnets or 10 subnets if required? In 1C, can I create 2 subnets, 3 subnets like this? Yes, you can create. But in the default network, what they have done, in each availability zone, just one subnet. If required, can I create more subnets in 1A again, 1B again, 1C again? Yes, you can do that. But in the default, they have only one subnet. Now, I can create a subnets like this. You can have n number of subnets also, but primarily there are 2 types of subnets, guys. In the VPC toolbox, I mean to say in the VPC, you have all these concepts. VPC can have what internally? VPC will have a subnets, subnetworks. So you can create n number of subnets, but primarily there are 2 types of subnets. You can create n number of subnets in that network, but there are primarily 2 types of subnets. What are those? Public subnet, public subnetwork, and private subnetwork. What is the meaning of public subnet? What is the meaning of private subnet? These subnets, whatever I have, this can be a public subnet or this can be a private subnet. All R can be public subnet also. What is the meaning of public subnet? What is the meaning of private subnet? The subnet which has internet access, the subnet which has internet access or internet connectivity, the subnet which has a route to the internet, the subnet which has a route to the internet, the subnet which has access to the internet is called as what subnet? The subnet which has a route to the internet, the subnet which has access to the internet is called as what? Public subnet. Public subnet. Guys, there is a router also here. There is a router also here. The way you have a router in your home, VPC will has a router, virtual router, that we call it as a IGW. In VPC, you have a one more component called IGW. What is that IGW? What is the full form of IGW? Internet gateway. Internet gateway. What is that internet gateway? What it does? Internet gateway, it's a virtual router. It's a virtual router which will enable what? Which will enable internet connectivity to your VPC. Your VPC. So there will be a router. The way you have a router in your home, right? There will be a router that we call it as IGW, which is attached to that VPC. This router will enable internet connection. Now, How many IGWs can be attached to one VPC? Again, interview question. How many IGWs can be attached to one VPC, or each VPC will have how many IGWs? Only one. Only one. Only one IGW. Now, this default VPC, if you see, do I have one IGW here? Internet gateway. This is my default VPC ID. Do I have this IGW attached to that VPC? This IGW is for different VPC. I created some other VPC, that's why I can see here. Do I have one IGW here? This IGW, Internet Gateway, is it attached to this VPC? That is my default VPC. Is it attached to this VPC? Yes. So how many IGWs can be attached to one VPC? Or one VPC will have how many IGW? Only one. Now, is this connecting your network with internet in data center? Yes. Now, here, only one IGW. You may have a question, sir, have IGW to this VPC. Does all these subnets will become a public subnets? How it will, I can differentiate whether this is a public, whether this is a private, or how I can create public subnet, how I can create private subnet. There is a one more concept in AWS VPC called VPC, one more component called route table. Route table. Route table. So you have a route table. If the subnets are associated with IGW, if the subnets are associated with IGW in the route table, there is a route to the IGW from this subnet. If there is a route to the IGW for this subnet, like a connection, you are connecting this subnet with the IGW. Where can I do that connection linking? Where I can connect this subnet with this IGW, or where I can define that association linking, that is in the route table. So if I have a route to this IGW for this subnet in the route table, can I call that as a public subnet? Whatever subnets has a route to the IGW in the route table, can I call it as a public subnet? If there is a route, this is connected with IGW, so can I call this as a public subnet? The servers in this subnet, will it have a internet connection? Because this subnet network is connected with IGW with the help of route table. So the servers in this VPC, this subnet, can I call this as a public subnet, public servers? If there is a route, yes. And if there is no route to IGW for the subnet in the route table, if there is no route to the IGW in the route table for this subnet, can I call this as a private subnet because this is not connected with the IGW router? So can I call this as a private subnet? Yes, if this is not part of a route table. Now, if I have a servers in this private subnet, let's say, can I reach this private servers, the servers which are in this subnet, can I able to reach from different networks or from internet? That will not have a public IP. There is no internet connection. Will I able to reach these servers directly from internet? No. But if I have some server in a public subnet, if I have some server in a public subnet, which means this subnet has a route to the IGW. This subnet is connected with IGW in the route table. Can I call this as a public subnet and public server? So since this has an internet connection with the help of IGW, will I able to reach this server from internet also using public IP? Does this server will have an internet connection if this is a public subnet? If this is connected with IGW in the route table, I can call that as a public subnet. So does this subnet will have internet access? The servers created in this network will have internet access. Can I reach this server via internet? Does this server also can access internet? This server also can access internet? Yes. But as of now, whatever subnets I have in the default VPC, let me show that. I have these subnets in the default VPC. 3 subnets are there in my default VPC. So all these are public subnets. How can I say all these are public subnets? Let me show you. Do you have one more concept here, route table? I have a IGW, I have a VPC, I have a subnet. Similarly, I have a route table. So there is one route table for this VPC. This is for default VPC. There is one route table. So in this route table, if you see in the routes, is it associated any IP 0.0.0? If that is the destination, what is the target? 0.0.0/0 represents any IP, any IP in the world. If someone is trying to reach any IP or the servers are trying to reach any IP, what is the target? This IGW, Internet Gateway. And also in this route table is explicitly all these subnets are associated. In this route table, there is a route to the IGW, there is a route to the IGW, and also do I have all these subnets explicitly associated with that route table? Because of this, does all these subnets has access to the IGW? I mean to say, does all these subnets are connected with IGW here? So because of that, can I call all these as public subnets, whatever we have? Yes. So because of that, any server you are creating in that default VPC in any subnet, are you guys able to access from internet? I mean to say from your laptop, your desktop. That can be SSH service, that can be Tomcat service, that can be database service, that can be Jenkins, Nexus, whatever you are running in those servers. Are you guys able to access from your laptop from internet? That can be database, that can be Nexus, JFrog, SSH, whatever it is. You guys are able to access. But in real time, are we going to create our servers in public subnets? No. We are going to create in a private subnets. Why we need to create our servers in a private subnet? What type of servers we will create in a private subnet? First, why we need to create? Why we need to create? Security. Security, network security. You don't want anyone to access your servers, the services. Basically, server is one system. Within that server, will I run some services? Services is nothing but some software. SSH is also one service. On which port SSH is running? 22. Can I call Tomcat as one service? Can I deploy my applications in Tomcat? On which port Tomcat will be running? 8080. Can I database also one kind of a service or software? Suppose I have installed MySQL. On which port my database will be listening? On which port? MySQL 3306. Like if you are installing Nexus, on which port Nexus will be listening? 8881. SonarQube 9000, like this. Now, if I want to access that application or service, can I use that IP address of that server in which that service is running, that application is running, or database is running? Can I use IP of that server in which my application or software is running? And can I use the respective port? Suppose I want to access Tomcat, can I use 8080 on which port that is listening? Suppose if I want to access database, can I use 3306 like that? Yes. But if your server has public network, your server has internet connection, your server has public IP, does anyone can access? Yes, firewall comes into picture. Firewall comes into picture, security group. But suppose somehow your firewall is breaked. I mean to say, somehow the hackers are bypassing your firewall. Somehow you have not followed the best practices. You don't know what is security group, what best practices has to be used, but somehow you have missed the firewall. You have opened for all the servers 0.0.0 like that. Does hackers can get into your application servers? Does hackers can get into your database servers from internet? Will they able to corrupt, modify your data, your application from their networks? Yes. So you need to secure. Security is very, very important. But if I create so the servers in a private subnets, there is no internet connection. There is no internet connection. There is no public IP. Can they easily get into your server using private IP from different networks? No. So security. Security is very, very important. So what type of applications, I mean to say, what type of servers we will be creating in a public subnet? What type of applications we will create in a private subnet? Now, can you guys guess or tell what type of servers we will create in a private subnet? What type of servers we will create in a public subnet? Any guess? Fine. I think I already explained. If I am not wrong, I think this I have already explained in the second day of my AWS session, if I am not wrong. Servers used by end users should be in a public network. Not correct. What is the meaning of servers used by end users? Do you mean application servers where you have hosted your application? That is not correct. Your application servers also not in a public subnet. Your application servers also will be created in a private subnet. Your application servers, I mean to say your Tomcat servers, database, your Tomcat servers or JBoss servers. If you are using Tomcat directly, your Tomcat server also in a private subnet. Your Tomcat server also in a private subnet. But if your Tomcat server is in private subnet, if you are using Tomcat, suppose I am deploying my application as a containers, can I have my Docker servers in private subnet? If you are deploying your applications as containers, can I have a Docker servers or Kubernetes servers in private subnet? Yes. Your Docker servers, if you are using Docker, if you are using Kubernetes, your Kubernetes servers, if you are directly deploying in a VM, your Tomcat servers, all those are in a private subnet only. You may have a question, sir, my Tomcat server is in private subnet that doesn't have any internet public IP, then how end users can reach? Does end users can reach this Tomcat server from internet if it is in a private subnet? Does end users can reach? No. You are not going to reach end users. Then how I can expose this application to the end users? Can I bring load balancer in real time for your application servers? Are you going to have a load balancers? In real time, are you going to deploy your application with a single server again? Are you going to use single application server like single Tomcat server in real time? If you are deploying your application, no. You are going to deploy in multiple Tomcat servers. Let's say again, is it recommended like this in same subnet? Is it recommended to create all my application servers like this? No. So can I create a one more subnet in another availability zone, one more private subnet in another availability zone? Can I distribute something like this? One more private subnet, another availability zone, this private subnet in another availability zone. Can I have my application servers like this? 4 servers or 2 servers or 3 servers, whatever it is, like this. Then can I bring a load balancer in front of my application server? Load balancer, reverse proxy. So can I define my reverse proxy rules in the load balancer so that my load balancer can route the traffic to these application servers? Now, this load balancer, what type of software I can use to configure load balancer on your own if you are using? Can I use HTTPD? Can I use Nginx? Nginx? Can I use HA proxy? HA proxy like this? HTTPD, Nginx, HA proxy, F5, F5 load balancer like this. Now, can I create one EC2 on my own in public subnet? In public subnet, can I install HTTPD or Nginx or F5 or HA proxy in this EC2 instance in public subnet? Now, this public subnet, will it have a IP, public IP and internet connection? As I told, this subnet I will associate with IGW. I will associate with IGW in the route table. In the route table, I will only link this subnet with IGW. Does this subnet will become a public subnet and the server will have a public IP internet access? Now, does end users can reach web server, this load balancer using public IP of that? On which port web servers will run, guys? What is the default port of web server? HTTP protocol, HTTP protocol 80. If it is HTTPS protocol, what is the default port? 443. So if you observe, in real time, you are not going to use any port also like this. Are you using any port like this 8080 or 9090? So is request is going to which port, and which port request is going? This will point to some IP in the background. Request is going to that IP on which port? Since it is HTTPS, request on go on 443, otherwise 80. So request goes to 80, let's say here. Does this load balancer will forward the request to these backend servers? I mean to say these application servers as per your reverse proxy rules. You might have already done that Nginx video, you might have went through. There, did we define upstream servers, IP addresses and port numbers? Request goes to this server on port 80. Is that going to forward the request to these servers on respective ports? That can be Tomcat port 8080. So this way, can I expose my application to the end users via load balancer? Does end users can directly reach my application? End users or anyone, can they directly go to this Tomcat server, this Tomcat server, this server or this server directly? Will they able to reach? No. Request is going via load balancer. Now, suppose I have a database server also. Can I have a database server also in a private subnet? Maybe in same subnet or different subnet, private subnet in same VPC. This is my database server, same VPC, maybe same private subnet or different subnet. Does my application can connect to database using the private IP of the database server and respective port? Does these servers can connect to my database? All these application servers, can it connect to database to store and retrieve the data from my database? All these servers, even though it is in a private subnet? Because is it part of same VPC? Your web server, your Nginx also, will it able to access or will it able to communicate with your application server? Your Nginx, your web server also, will it able to communicate with your application server? Because they are in a same VPC, same network. Similarly, does this application servers also communicate with database server even though they are in a private subnet? In same VPC, they can communicate. Is everyone clear why we need to create servers in private subnet and what is private subnet theoretically? Now my database server is in private subnet. Any application in different network, any application, I mean to say any server in different network, will it able to reach this one? There is no public IP, it cannot reach. Even though it use private IP of this server is in different network, this server is in different network. Will it able to reach this server even though it is using private IP? No. So this way, will I able to secure my servers from other networks, from internet? Do I have a security here if I create in a private subnet? Yes. Same scenario, whatever I have explained in home. This is like your own device. The guy who is sitting in next network, will be able to access this device? No. So this is how actually it is going to work. Now let's discuss about VPC. What are the things needs to be considered or created while creating a VPC? Theoretically, I have already explained. VPC is nothing but what? Network. A private network in which you can place your devices and you can control who can access, who cannot access. In AWS, we have a VPC. Suppose if do we have a same concept in other cloud also? The way we have a EC2 in AWS, we have Azure VM in Azure, GCP compute instances in GCP. In AWS, we have a VPC for networking. Similarly, do we have a similar concepts in other cloud also? Similar concept, but name is different. Yes. Anyone from Azure background or GCP background, they can understand. In Azure, there is a concept called VNet. There is a service called VNet in Azure cloud. That is equivalent to what? VPC in AWS. The terminology is different. In AWS, we are calling it as a VPC, but in Azure, we are calling same thing as what? VNet. So all are doing the same thing. They are offering all these services. That's why I'm saying, if you are familiar with one cloud, will it be easy for you to explore, learn, and work on the other cloud on your own once you get into a project? Yes. Because let me tell you, currently you are learning in VPC. Currently you are learning AWS, but is there a guarantee that you are going to work on AWS cloud in any project which you are going to join? No. Even though you have mentioned AWS in your project, your resume, they will ask all the questions on AWS, but the moment they join, we are not using AWS, we are using Azure. The moment you join, they will say, we are not using AWS, we are using Azure. So what is your reaction? You will say, no, I will not work because I don't have experience in Azure. That is not the answer, guys. Even though you don't know, you need to keep learning, keep upgrading. They will give some time. They will give trainings also in the office, but not like whatever we are giving. I got a training on Azure 5 years back when I joined one project where they are giving Azure, where they asked me to work on Azure. 5 years back, I attended one Azure training. Do you know how many days they have given Azure training for me? Just 2 days. Just 2 days. 2 days every day for 4 hours. 8 hours they finished complete Azure. You are not going to get a dedicated training like us in the offices. You need to self-learn. But if you are already familiar with that respective cloud, suppose I am already familiar with AWS, will I able to relate and keep learning or upgrade myself on Azure? The concept is same, but the terminology, the way we are going to create is different. Guys, now we are Jenkins, we are learning Jenkins, but once you get into a project, they may say we are not using Jenkins, we are using maybe GitLab, or they may say we are using Bitbucket, or they may say they are using Azure DevOps like that. But do you say no? Concept is same. Whatever I am doing using Jenkins, can I do same thing using Azure DevOps or maybe GitLab, Bamboo, Travis CA, Circle CA, whatever it is? Same thing, continuous integration, continuous delivery. But the way the tool works is different. In Jenkins, you are writing Groovy script. The pipeline is nothing but a Groovy script. But if I am using GitLab, if I am using Azure DevOps, the same steps or stages will be written in the form of what? In the form of YML. In the form of YML. Right? The tool works different, but the concept remains same. So that's why I'm saying concept is very, very important, not the tool which you are working. If you know the concept, learning the tool to make that concept work will be easy. So learn that way. Okay. Just to give an overview, I'm discussing all these things. Now, here AWS VPC. As I already told, what is AWS VPC? It's a private subsection of AWS that you can control. In that AWS, can I place my AWS resources? What is the meaning of AWS resources? Can I create EC2 instances in my VPC? Can I create a EFS in my VPC? Can I create my load balancer in my VPC? Can I create a RDS? Can I create my Kubernetes cluster or whatever it is in that respective VPC? These resources are nothing but your EC2 instances, your EFS file systems, your auto scaling groups, your load balancers, all those things. It's a private subsection of AWS that you can control. So will I have a full control over that? Who can access those resources which are in my VPC? Can I define who can access, who cannot access by creating servers in public subnets, private subnets, using security groups, firewalls, all those things? I can control who can access, who cannot access. Is VPC is logically isolating? Is VPC is logically isolating your resources in the cloud from rest of the other resources in the cloud? Is VPC is logically isolating your resources from other resources in the cloud? As I told, anyone can create a servers in AWS. Is VPC is isolating your servers from the servers which are there in other VPC? Is logically isolating? Yes. It is isolating others. In VPC, do I have a complete control on the networking, IP addresses, creation of subnets, route tables, and all those things? Do I have a complete control on that IP addressing, creation of subnets, routing, route tables? Yes. So whenever we create an account, a default VPC is created for us. A default VPC is created for us. Now coming to the interview questions. If you are focusing on only interview, how many VPCs can be created by default in one region? In one region. Now I am in which region? VPC is a region level service. VPC is a regional level service. In which region I am in as of now? Mumbai region. So in one region, by default, how many VPCs can be created? This is one interview question. Five VPCs. By default, we can create 5 VPCs. That is again what? Soft limit. Soft limit. What is the meaning of soft limit? If required, can I ask AWS? Can I raise a support case with AWS to increase this limit? You may have a question, sir, why I may need for more networks? Because let's consider you have a dev environment, you have a QA, you have a prod, you have a DR. Are you going to create the dev application servers, database servers, and load balancers, and QA application servers, QA database servers, QA load balancers, and production application servers, production database servers, production load balancers, production EFS file systems, whatever it is, in a same network? Are you going to create same in same VPC? Are you going to create a servers for dev, load balancers for dev, databases for dev in the actual applications? Are you going to do like this, guys? Are you going to create single VPC, single network? Are you going to have all the servers of dev, prod, data, these things? No, because you need to isolate. So dev separate network. So for all my dev servers like a database, application, load balancers, can I create a separate VPC, separate network in which I will have a dev? For production, can I create another network where I can create my production application servers, production database servers, production load balancers? So is your application servers in dev can communicate with database servers in prod? By mistake, developer has missed to update the database details. He has using production IP address and production port number. He deployed in dev. Even though he has used production IP, production port database in the dev server, does this dev application server can talk to the production database? The developer has missed to update. Will it able to talk if it is in a different network, different VPC? No. So that's why, do you need to isolate your environments also? I mean to say network, dev separate network, QA separate network, prod separate network, DR separate network, like this. So do I need to create more networks based on my requirement, based on the number of applications I want to deploy, like this? Yes. So do I need to request AWS if I want to create more than 5 VPCs in that region? Yes. How many subnets? How many subnets can be created? How many subnets can be created in one VPC? Max. How many subnets can be created in one VPC? In one VPC. There is a limit for that also, 200. You might have observed here, I already explained how many subnets can be created in one VPC, 200. These type of questions you will get. But I am not focusing on only on the interview perspective. I am focusing on more in depth, because so that you can understand what is VPC, what is subnet, what is public, what is private, why we need public, why we need private. I am focusing more in depth, not on the interview perspective. And don't learn on the interview perspective also, only for interview. Now this is what type of questions you will get. Now, as I already told, under VPC you will have a subnets. Do we have a route tables created? Do we need to create a route tables where I can link the subnets with my internet gateway? This route table is like a linking connection. The way you are physically connecting a cables, right? In the background, this route table is like a connecting. You are connecting your IGW with subnet, like that in the background. So we have a route tables. In the route table, what I can define? I can define how network traffic, how network traffic should be routed to and from each subnet. It's a network routing. You are connecting a network, subnetworks with network devices. Suppose I have a private one subnet. If this subnet is not connected, I mean to say not associated with IGW in the route table, will it able to access internet? This is my IGW. This IGW is not connected with my subnet in the route table. Does this subnet can I access internet? The servers in that subnet can reach internet? No. That is route table. I'll come to this, what is access control list and what is NAT later. What is this IGW? As I already told, I will come to these two later, access control list and NAT. So what is this IGW? IGW is a virtual router. It will enable the internet connectivity to your VPC. As I already told, I covered all these things, but let me quickly recap. If subnet has a route to the internet gateway, if subnet has a route to the internet gateway, that subnet is called as what? If the subnet has a route to the internet gateway, that is called as public subnet. But where I can define that route, the route between IGW and subnet, where I can define that route, The route between IGW and subnet can be defined where? In the route table. In the route table. If there is no route from subnet to IGW, if there is no route from subnet to IGW, is called as what type of subnet? Private subnet. So each subnet must be reside within only one availability zone. As I told, can I create a subnetwork that can spread between multiple availability zones in that region? Can I create a subnetwork that can spread between multiple availability zones in that region? No. The subnet can be created in one availability zone. But if required, can I have 4-5 subnets in same availability zone? 4-5 subnetworks in same availability zone? Yes. So instances, the servers in VPC will be communicate based on what? Based on the route table, based on the security groups. Based on the security groups. As I already told, the servers in same VPC, will they able to communicate with each other without internet because of same network? Local. Yes. So I already explained what is subnet, what is IGW. I don't want to waste much time again here. As I already told, only one IGW can be attached to one VPC at any point of time. Can I remove IGW from VPC if there are some resources in VPC? I mean to say, if there are some resources, in the sense there are some servers, there are some subnets available in that VPC, will I able to remove IGW from that VPC? Will I able to detach IGW from that VPC if I have some servers in that VPC? No. Without IGW also, the resources, the servers, can they talk to each other within that VPC? The servers can talk to each other without IGW also. Within that network, the servers can communicate with each other. Yes. But will they able to talk to the internet without IGW? No. So we discussed all these things. I don't want to waste much time. Now, just 2 minutes, I'll wrap up for today. I'll continue tomorrow. While creating a network, most important thing is, while creating a network, we have to define our network range, basically your IP range, in the form of CIDR. While creating a network, you need to define your IP range, how big your network should be, how big your network can be, in the form of CIDR. What is full form of CIDR? What is the full form of CIDR? Classless interdomain routing. Classless interdomain routing. It's a method for allocating IP addresses and its routing. It's a method or standard or algorithm, all are same. It's a method or standard or algorithm, all are same. Algorithm for allocating IP addresses and its routing in the form of CIDR. If you see the default VPC, this is my default VPC. So when I go to VPC section, can I see something called CIDR here? Can I see something called CIDR here? This is my VPC section. Can I see something called CIDR here? What does it mean? 172.31.0.0.16. This is what? This is my VPC CIDR. VPC CIDR. Basically range of your network, how big your network is there. If you observe, all the servers, whatever servers you are creating in that network, does all the servers private IPs is within this range? Can you go and see any server, whatever you have in that VPC, if you observe the IPs, private IPs, are you guys able to see the IPs is in that range only? Whatever servers you have in that VPC, this server. If you see this server private IP 172.31.32.108, 172.31.14 something, 172.31.4 something. Do you see all the private IPs of those servers in that VPC in same range, in this range? So this will determine how big your network is there. This will determine how big your network is there. So this is IP what? V4. IP V4, which means 4 digit, or we call it as a 32-bit. We call it as a 32-bit IP addresses. 32-bit IP addresses. So this is one digit. This is another digit. This is another digit. Each digit 32-bit. Each digit 8-bit. So total 32-bit IP. So IPv4. Now this will represent some range. Now there is a formula. 32 2 power 32 minus n. That n is basically your subnet mask. This is a CIDR block. We call it as a CIDR block. This CIDR block is that n. Now how many IPs I will be getting if this is my network range? Under this network, how many IPs I will be available? How many devices I can create? The device can be server, load balancer, database, whatever it is. How many if this is my network range? 2 power 16. So 32 minus 16. This is n. 2 power 32 minus 16, 2 power 16. What is 2 power 16? Approximately 65,536. So which means, do I have network with these many IPs available? Which means, can I create these many devices in that network? The devices can be your server, your load balancer, your network interfaces, whatever it is. Now, if my IP range, my network range is like this. So how much IPs will be available for that network? With how many IPs you are creating a network? 2 power 32 minus n, that is 2 power 28. So 2 power 28, 32 minus 28 is 2 power 4. 2 power 32 minus 28 is 2 power 4. So how many IPs you will have for that network? 2 power 4, 16. Will I able to create more than these many devices in that network? Suppose I have a network with this CIDR. Will I able to create more than these many servers or devices in this network? No. So we are going to define in the form of CIDR. So I will continue from here. So next class, tomorrow class, I will create a VPC, subnets, route tables. We will discuss all these things tomorrow. Okay. I'll continue tomorrow. So tomorrow also we have a class. Same time, 7:40. I'll start. Tomorrow lab. We'll create a VPC, subnets, route tables, IGWs, and all those things we will understand tomorrow. Thank you guys. Again, once again, wish you happy Holi. We'll continue tomorrow with this VPC. From Monday, we'll start load balancing. Thank you.